Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video. And well, no, your eyes do not deceive you. It's Lukozer Wars 2 again, but this version is for the Amiga. Now, essentially, there was only one person on the face of the earth who knew that this game was coming along, and that was, of course, Gansteeth, who made it. He managed to keep it completely silent. He didn't say a word to anybody that an Amiga version was in the pipeline. In the review, I think it was of the first game, Life School, or whichever account he used to make the comic, because I can never remember, 11 Amiga, 1164, one of the, like, you know, what seems like 500,000 accounts he's got. I think it was just like disposable sort of throwaway comment about if an Amiga version would come along. Now, I can't help wondering if that was what sort of sowed the seed of this particular project. I mean, I didn't even know that there was an Amiga version of Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit, which was used to make this. But yes, there clearly is, because while the game's loading, it fucking tells you that this was made with it. So, well, here we are. So, well, this title page, which features a grotesque digitised image, which was taken from, this image was used as one of my Facebook profile pictures. As you can clearly see, it was taken in one of my more jovial moods. So, well, how does the Amiga version compare to the Commodore 64 version? I mean, the Commodore 64 version, as I'm sure everyone can agree, I can't imagine for one moment that anyone would think otherwise, that yes, the Commodore 64 version is the greatest piece of software coding in the history of computing. It even makes the programming of the Colossus down at old Bletchley House, or whatever it was fucking called, it makes that look like child's play. This is computer coding. So an Amiga version, it's got a pretty tough act just to be able to compare with the Commodore 64 version. Nevertheless, he's given it a go. So before I start it, I'll let you know now that this review is going to be in two parts. There is this particular one, and then after this there will be the boring one. So yeah, most of you will probably want to turn off after, actually most of you probably want to turn off now, but yeah, well, there you go. Right. Now, just to add to the confusion, the Amiga version here features several digitized speech samples, so it may sound like I'm talking when I'm not. So for this first game, I'll say nothing at all, so everything you will hear is just the sound effects of the game. Here we go. Oh, fuck off. Cunt. Cunt. Fucking prick. Oh, fuck off. Cunt. Cunt. Cunt.
Sack of shit. Sack of shit. Sack of shit. Fucking prick. Oh, fuck off. Cunt. Cunt. Cunt, cunt. 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 Fucking prick.
Yeah, so there we go, game over. So the Amiga version is certainly more difficult than the Commodore 64 version. I've only ever made it to the boss about 3 times, and I've only ever been able to defeat the boss once. So I have a feeling it could take a while for me to even get there, let alone actually beat it. But this time I can actually do some sort of commentary throughout it. So as you start, you are greeted with one of the traditional greetings that I am known to utter, namely, "Oh, fuck off."
Shit.
And there are actually 5, I think it's 5. Yeah, 5 samples, which of course have all been taken from some of my previous videos.
Sack of shit.
And in the official production notes, which is another way of describing a couple of emails that I got from Gansteeth, he stated that it was little short of miraculous that he didn't go mad from the amount of fucking verbal abuse that he essentially subjected himself to from trying to sample the various sound effects from my videos.
Cunt. Fucking prick. Oh, fuck off.
Alright, so this is surely my last life.
Sack of shit. Cunt.
Oh, fucking hell.
Cunt.
I think, yeah, right, so I've made it to the boss. Here we go.
Cunt. 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 Cunt.
Well, that is...
Cunt. 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 Fucking wanker.
So you have now heard all of the speech samples. And there we have the great ending there. So how... Well, the fucking hell did that come from? I think that's game over, so well, there you go. It's a good job there's only one level. I've already shown you the entire game. So, alright, have another go and we'll get the review underway. Now, as you can clearly see, in terms of gameplay, it is second to none. You know, if you're comparing it with other Amiga games, they may be like, you know, one or two Amiga games that come close, but yeah, they don't quite offer the you know, the same amount of, you know, sheer endless thrills that this one does. And well, I mean, in terms of audio, it's certainly it's got to be up there with, you know, some of the best Amiga titles. And I mean, gameplay wise, yes, it's very similar to the fucking hell, how am I going to get through that lot? I've got absolutely fuck all nowhere on that go. So much so I completely lost the thread of what I was saying. Yeah, I mean, in terms of gameplay, yes, it's it offers you exactly the same levels of stunning gameplay that the Commodore 64 version has. Only it is now a lot more difficult, so it is far more challenging. Fucking hell. The thing is, the game sort of saves me from saying, you know, fucking prick, but because I'm going to fucking say it anyway, because I'm playing it like a fucking cunt. Fucking hell, I'm making a right bollocks up of this. There we go.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck of shit.
So, I mean,
Fuck of shit.
there is no denying that this has to go down as one of the greatest games to ever appear on the Amiga. I mean, that really does go without saying. But how does it compare to the Commodore 64 version? I mean, you know, a reworking of the greatest game of all time is always going to be pretty tough going, but I mean, he certainly achieved something there. Quite possibly what he's achieved is a game that shows just how shit I am at playing fucking video games.
Oh, fuck off. Cunt.
But this game does also give me the opportunity to
Fucking shit.
announce a competition,
Fucking prick.
and it probably
Oh, fuck off.
won't surprise too many people with regards to what you need to do to enter it. You've heard the 5 speech samples. So to enter, you need to identify the videos where the 5 speech samples have come from. So that is cunt, sack of shit, fucking prick, oh fuck off, and whatever is said when you destroy the boss, because I have forgotten it. Fucking hell.
Fucking shit. Fucking shit. Fucking prick.
I just cannot get anywhere in this fucking game. If anything, I'm getting worse as I go through it.
Oh, fuck off.
I mean, the bottom line is that while it is definitely, you know, the best game you could possibly play on the Amiga, it doesn't compare to the Commodore 64 version. again, I don't think that is really going to surprise too many people. I mean, the Commodore 64 is the superior gaming platform. Oh, fuck it.
Oh, fuck off. Cunt.
Obviously, in terms of audio, yes, it's certainly better. In terms of graphics,
Sack of shit.
well, in terms of graphics, it's certainly more colourful, right down to the point where I seem to resemble a Scotsman. I don't think my hair and my beard are quite that red, but that must be a limitation of the Amiga's the Amiga's colour palette. As we all know, the Commodore 64 has you know, a much better selection of colours available to it. So you would expect the Commodore 64 version to be, you know, graphically, or at least certainly colour-wise, to be, you know, a lot more accurate than the Amiga version. You do, of course, realise that there are going to be people out there who think I am genuinely, you know, I genuinely mean that. You know, I am actually saying, yes, the Commodore 64 version, Commodore 64's colour palette is better than the Amiga's.
Cunt. Cunt. Sack of shit. Cunt. Sack of shit.
Oh, fuck you hell.
Sack of shit. Cunt.
Now, can I actually get somewhere on this fucking go this time? Because about the last sort of like half dozen goes, I've got absolutely fuck all nowhere. I think I'm doing slightly better this time.
Cunt.
Oh, fuck it, now I haven't.
Oh, fuck off. Cunt. Sack of shit.
Right, I think I may even be getting somewhat close to the boss. No, I'm not.
Cunt.
Fucking nowhere near it.
Shit. Cunt.
That certainly helps, though. Okay, right, here we are at the boss.
Cunt. 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 Cunt.
Looks like I found a good spot to just stand and fire.
Cunt.
Okay, maybe not, because I'm just missing
Fucking
everything.
wankers. Fucking wankers.
There you go. So that's level 1 completed. And now, well, once we get the there we go. Once we have the congratulatory message there, we can now go on to, when it eventually shows up, there we go, and we're on to level 1. Ah, fucking hell, that's the second time I've fucking done that. So I complete the game. Okay, I did actually have another life left.
Cunt.
So I've managed to get up to 1100. My all-time high score
Shit.
is 1300. Can I actually beat that? Almost certainly not, but you never know. Well, actually, I think I do know.
Cunt.
Alright, I've got to hit one more cunt and then I've done it. Or maybe 2.
Cunt.
There we go. So this is now my all-time best at this game.
Sack of shit. Cunt.
So how do I score this? I mean,
Cunt.
how do you score a game of this calibre? As I make 14,900 now at my new all-time best. I mean, I guess it's just difficult to you know, give it actual numerical score, because as you've clearly seen there, this is the greatest game ever to have appeared on the Amiga, and I've given games that are clearly, you know, not even close to the level of this, you know, games like Dungeon Master and actually I don't know if I published that review because I had difficulty spelling the title, but well, certainly Dungeon Master, which is the only one I can think of offhand. Frontier and Sim Life. I mean, they all got 10 out of 10. No, they didn't. Frontier only got 9 out of 10. Well, there were some games anyway that got 10 out of 10, but obviously they don't begin to compare to this. They couldn't possibly. So it does mean that this game is off the scale. But I mean, yeah, I just can't even begin to find the words, you know. I think I've already summed it up pretty well, actually. I mean, quite simply, the greatest Amiga game of all time. I mean, it's taken quite a while after the Amiga's initial release. I mean, it wasn't until 2017 that the true capabilities and the true, you know, gaming potential of the Amiga was realised, but at least it's been done. Frankly, it's a good job actually that you know, the Amiga is pretty much dead and buried, because if this had come along you know, during the 90s, every other game developer for the Amiga would have frankly given up, because what hope could they have had of competing with this? It couldn't be done, and you've seen the proof yourself, you know. So that is Lukozer Wars 2 for the Amiga. The Commodore 64 version is better, but this is still off the scale. Unquestionably the greatest game the Amiga has ever seen and is ever likely to see. So that brings the review to an end, but next is the boring bit. So if you you know, don't fancy hearing the boring stuff, then yeah, we'll see you at the next one. So I said at the start of this video, and I have to admit, I'm fucking feeling as rough as hell. So it's not quite as good a review as I wanted it to be. But I said at the start that it's a shoot 'em up construction kit game, and I didn't even know there was a shoot 'em up construction kit for the Amiga. And in a way, I'm glad I didn't know about it, because what this title does is show some utterly ludicrous issues that the Amiga version of Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit has that the Commodore 64 one didn't. I mean, let's start by the fact that on the title page here there is no music. Now, given the Amiga's audio capabilities and of course the amount of RAM it has, surely being able to put music on the title page, or indeed anywhere in the game, wouldn't be that difficult. But no, Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit doesn't give you that option. Now, to be honest, I can't for the life of me remember if it gave you that option on the Commodore 64 version. Possibly not, but then the Amiga version, or the Amiga computer, is so much more powerful. It has so much more RAM available to it. It has much better dedicated hardware. It should be there, and it isn't. Now if we go to, we'll actually start again.
Oh, fuck off.
Now I've had to turn up the audio settings within both WinUAE and OBS to maximum, so they're both at 100%. Now, bearing in mind that with all my other videos using OBS, I have the desktop audio at 40%. That's it. And if I'm recording WinUAE, that's usually at 80%. But the Shoot 'em Up construction kit for the Amiga has downgraded the audio samples so much that they are extremely quiet.
Fuck of shit.
And they're only 8-bit and 8 kilohertz quality. It's a 16-bit computer and it has a 16-bit audio chip. It's not an Atari ST, which was saddled with a shitty 8-bit, audio chip. And the Atari ST had the same audio chip as the fucking Amstrad. Yeah, when you say Amstrad, sack of shit is indeed the right, phrase that springs to mind. So the audio is pretty quiet. That's not a limitation of the Amiga. That's a limitation of the of the program, of the Shoot 'em Up construction kit. The other issue is that you can only have 40k of audio, which is ridiculously small. It's less than 10%, and that's if you have just an unexpanded Amiga 500. Shoot 'em Up construction kit came out in 1989, so there were memory expansions available for the Amiga already, and plenty of people were buying them by that time. Thanks in no small part to games like Dungeon Master.
Oh, fuck off. Cunt.
But yeah, so just giving you 40k for audio is frankly a fucking joke. And that 40k is purely for sound effects. So there is no option to add music. You cannot add music at all. And then we go to things like, on-screen display. You may have noticed that nowhere on screen does it show you how many lives you've got left. This is certainly not a design choice from Gansteeth when putting this together, because for one thing, he did include it in the Commodore 64 version. No, there is no option to put it anywhere in the Amiga version of Shoot 'em Up construction kit, which is frankly fucking ludicrous. How the fuck can you, actually come up with a shoot 'em up and then have it so that it does not show you how many lives you have left? But that's not the worst thing. You may have noticed numerous times throughout this video that the collision detection is a bit suspect. Yeah, it's not just a bit suspect, it's very suspect. And when I was first playing this, I was thinking that actually get to a point where I can show you. Right, let's pause the game here. Now I thought that how it worked was you had basically this invisible rectangle, which was as tall as the sprite and as wide as the sprite. So even though there is this empty space around here, it still acted as, you know, losing a life if, for example, one of the bottles came through and went through this corner but didn't actually hit the sprite. In fact, if anything, it seems to be a bit wider. It's almost as if it comes out as far as here, because there are plenty of times where the it's lost the life, and it also works when it comes to hitting any of the enemy sprites. You're missing by a sizable margin, but it acts as though you've hit it. And yeah, I wasn't the only person to notice this. Gansteeth pointed it out straight away. So unless you are going to design a game that's called something like, you know, Attack of the Symmetrical Quadrilaterals, the chances are every game that you design on Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit on the Amiga is going to have fucking wanky collision detection, and there is nothing you can do about it. There's no option to alter the collision detection area so that it is purely just the immediate or the actual space that the particular sprite occupies. And, you know, why? The Commodore 64 version has no problem doing that, so why the fucking hell does the Amiga version seemingly find it impossible to do? So the game really does show that the Amiga version of Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit was truly dreadful, and I highly doubt that Gansteeth, or indeed anybody who owned Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit on the Amiga back in the day, will do more than one title for it, because the program is just totally hopeless for the job that it's supposed to be doing. So yes, this is now my best ever go of this game. Oh, fuck yeah. Alright, that's me down. Okay. For a moment I thought I was going to have to fucking relight my fag once again.
Sack of shit.
Right, can I make it to 20,000? Yes I can. How about that?
Sack of shit.
The other thing is, the character does seem to have a bit of trouble firing at diagonals. Oh, here we go. So I made it to the boss of level 1 again.
Cunt.
Oh, I'm not going to do it this time. It's going to time out. Yeah, there you go. Buggered off. Or at least I can walk up to the congratulations message this time. Right, so on to level 3, which looks shockingly familiar, except it also looks like there are no enemies anywhere. So yeah, it looks like I found a glitch in, well, it's got to be a glitch in Shoot 'em Up construction kit, because I suspect that Gansteeth did not code it so that once you get to level 3 nobody appears anywhere in the game. So what happens when I reach the end of the level? I suspect it'll be just the same. I can just carry on walking, and that's basically the game knackered. So there you go, that is the boring stuff then, the actual like serious review, which basically is that Shoot 'em Up construction kit for the Amiga is hopeless. I mean, alright, the program certainly has its limitations on the Commodore 64, but you know, nothing like as bad as the Amiga version has. So yeah, I think that is quite enough for this one. So there you go, that is Lukozer Wars 2 for the Commodore Amiga, and I suppose you could say it's also a bit of a review of Shoot 'em Up construction kit for the Amiga. So that definitely brings this review to an end.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, I still had another life. 23,300 and still going.
Fuck you, prick.
Yeah, there you go. Is that it? Yeah, game over. 23,600. So there you go. That is this review done then. So that brings this video to an end, and we will see you at the next one.